All right, so let's do yet another classical game. I'll jump in the pool. Not really sure what we're going to get today, so we'll have to figure that out as we go along. I think I played knight f3 in my last game, so I'm going to play d4, at least as far as I remember. I'm going to play d4 to begin with. I'll play c4 this time, which is normal. And I will play knight f3. I don't really care to allow the pin after knight to c3. So this is the queen's Indian defense, if I recall. Main line goes something with g3, and we both have these opposing bishops. Black has a choice here of several moves. I think bishop b4 giving check is pretty popular because it's not so clear that I want to move my bishop out this way. We can imagine that maybe I want my bishop to come here. So regarding this, I think d5 is a possible move because if you take it, then you can move this knight somewhere and you've pinned, so you regain. It might be the strongest move. Of course, I could also take. I don't really want to let it stand because if I let him take and I recapture, well, even if I've castled, so my bishop is protected here, I don't know if I want to trade these guys for each other so suddenly. So d5 is standing out at the moment. And then takes. Then I think knight h4 is pretty common, and then I can take back the pawn. So let's do that. So yeah, this is a common tactic. Hopefully I'm not just completely wrong, because that would be not ideal. But c5 isn't such a popular move, so this might be the reason why. So takes, this was my intention. So again, I've got this pin, and now I have enough supporters on the square, my bishop and queen, to take back the pawn, and it's very easy for me to maybe just bring my knight in as well, and then I'll play like here. My knight functions not terribly on h4. We can imagine that if the bishop were to come to e7, I can drop it on f5 at some point and grab it. And even if maybe he plays g6 and his bishop comes out this way, once I defend this pawn a bit more, I can just bring it back. He can't really attack it. I just come forward. So this seems like it's working. So not sure what he's going to do here. We could see. I mean, I'm expecting maybe even just g6. So this move, he protects the bishop, which means that this is like I have to recapture now, essentially, which is fine. I'm going to do that. And I don't know how much help queen c8 was. Maybe this will just be a waste of time. So things on my agenda, definitely want to get knight c3 in. More support to the pawn. I can bring my knight back if I ever need to. Help support e4, although I could play e4 now. Definitely want to castle. You feel like he's got to figure something out here with bringing his bishop out. Because if I get castled and he's neglecting this, we can imagine a lot of scenarios where he just loses the chance to castle. So d6 is interesting. Maybe the idea is now to play g5 at some point. My knight has to come back and then we take the pawn, but g5 isn't possible because of my bishop. So I'm not worried about that. I might just play knight c3. Maybe now he's preparing bishop e7, disallowing knight here. So e4 in that case makes a lot of sense too. I play e4, and I strongly protect this pawn, and I also support the knight on f5. So I like that idea because I think it's annoying for him. And I'm probably going to play e4 at some point anyways. So why not now? And it's not easy for him to take advantage of this pawn just yet because he'd probably have to put a heavy piece on the file, like his queen or the rook, and he's several moves away from doing either of those things. So, and this will be good because now if bishop here, I go knight here, it's very awkward. I attack both of these things. So he might just end up going g6 after all. Keep my knight out of the square, bring the bishop here. And if he does that, I think the move order isn't super important. For him to do anything, it takes several moves. So if I'm going to play like knight c3 and castles and rook e1, I guess the rook would be here, rook e1, it's like you can imagine that the order in which I do that, it just all transposes. It doesn't have any tactical significance. So we'll see what happens here. Of course, black's source of counterplay. I have a central majority. Maybe black will play for some sort of queenside. So I'm going to start with my knight just to maybe discourage this pawn advance. And maybe I can hold down on that for a while. So that's interesting. So maybe I could have, so maybe I'll do this. I'll plant my knight here on this square. So maybe I could have castled first and avoided the fact that I can't castle at the moment. But the knight here will be annoying for him because the bishop will no longer defend this pawn. So you can see that black is trying to prevent my knight from coming here, maybe also trying to play here at some point. Notice that his pieces are all bottled up though. So I can imagine myself going here, renewing the possibility of this. And if the pawn comes forward, that's fine. I think I can just end up putting my queen on b4, and as soon as I block the bishop's protection of the pawn, the pawn will be in danger, and this pawn moving forward blocks the bishop's interference with my castling. So yeah, c4 is not something I'm worried about. I'm not worried about queen e7 with pressure on this pawn. I still have two pieces that defend it. However, if he plays queen e7 now, it makes it hard for me to go knight here. That's a curious move. So we're attacking this. So maybe this was just a fancy way of improving his bishop, because now he can play c4. I think now I need to... Yeah, somehow this went wrong for me. Or at least it seems that way. Not really sure what to do. So there's pressure here. This pawn will come forward. Maybe I could have sacrificed this pawn. I still don't think I've done anything terribly wrong. He's being very provocative with this kind of play. So a knight move is with tempo, but this is counter tempo. So I'm just thinking here about whether or not my king, maybe I play f3, bishop here, and king f2. I protect this pawn. My knight gets a little stranded. But importantly, my king is out of the way. We might see the knight come out this way as well. So let's go here. It will allow me to bring my knight out and my king out. And maybe trading the bishops isn't such a bad idea. And then my knight can retreat. So a bit awkward, for sure. Yeah, so I definitely did something wrong, I think, in the opening. I'm not sure where it was. D5 is a common theme, and I felt like all the moves I played afterwards were pretty normal. I mean, if we think about it, sure, I could have castled before I played knight c3, but he also could have played bishop a6 before he played g6. So I just want to firmly believe that I've done nothing wrong. So I shouldn't worry about it. Okay, so maybe the knight is coming to one of these squares. Not a big deal. I mean, it would be a big deal if I couldn't stop this fork, but it's not a huge concern because my king's about to move. So let's move my king. He can go knight here, and then I want to trade the bishops. Now at this point, if he plays c4, I think I just have to come back with my queen. So the calculation that I've had in my head for a while now is bishop f1 takes, rook takes, queen here, attacking the pawn, then my king can come back to g1 and I kind of self-castle. And even if the knight comes in here to maybe sacrifice against the pawn, I mean, that's not a big deal. Okay, so I don't want to play a move like here because of this. I need this bishop, this is important. Maybe I don't want to play bishop f1 actually, because after takes, rook takes, he's got check, and I lose my bishop. So I could go here, takes, king takes, but that's just so, feels so wrong. So maybe I start by playing bishop d2, it's slower. Maybe he wants to bring his knight here actually, which is pretty awkward. Maybe I just give up the bishop. It's not the end of the world. I have a lot of space. His bishop will be strong, but yeah, not ideal. I can move this knight now. Maybe not here because he has the opportunity to take, but I could move it to some other square. Which square? He might play a5. So what I'm calculating is that if I move my knight, he can't play c4 to protect this, so that he can move the knight again, because I would take his knight. So he protects his knight first. But then I can play bishop f1. Knight d1 just feels abhorrently wrong. But it's the only square that really makes sense to me. Because if I go knight a2, he might play knight c2. So knight a2, knight c2, queen takes, knight takes rook. And then I need to win this knight. So I can play bishop here, which is a double attack. Alright, that seems fair. So let's go knight here. And if he takes it, I'll take with my rook. I think this is turning out all right. So he can play a5. I'm still going to take, because then his bishop hangs. So he can play this in between, but then I go queen c3 and I attack this. So he has to be careful here. I guess also there's the possibility if he takes this, I just take here, actually. And okay, he brings his knight back with tempo, whatever. This bishop is gone. That's quite good for me to have this bishop gone. Although this knight would be kind of a pain. So bishop there. Wow. So this is tricky. If I go here, he goes bishop here. I go knight takes, he goes like knight check, takes, bishop takes. I have 3 pieces for the, and minus a pawn for the queen. 3 pieces is a lot of pieces. I'd be down to try that. So the calculation goes here, here, takes, knight check, pawn takes knight, bishop takes queen, knight takes bishop, bishop will retreat. Then maybe I bring my knight back. Let me play that game. Because, okay, well, so what are other options? I could just go here. And then he has check. And wins my bishop. I really don't feel like I have an option. He still has check here. And I'll retreat. But then maybe I take here. So I'm not sure he should do that. It's a very complicated game, and I really feel like a lot of the moves I made were like not forced, but logical. So we're gonna do some pretty heavy post-game analysis, I think. So I'm still expecting him to play here. And then takes, 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 takes. Because I gotta get my knight off of the attack, or I'm not winning 3 pieces. Then his bishop is attacked, so it will move. My knight covers this square from that c2 square, so he can't just get away with check. Or he can, and I'll just take. So this is the line we're going down. So I guess if we're counting the raw material based off of the relative value of pieces that we all know and love, he's ahead of pawn. But I wouldn't give too much merit to that. This is going to be a very complicated position. So he's thinking about where to put the bishop. I would just think, okay, f6 is a little more exposed. It's a bit surprising. I don't think he wants to make this trade, or I don't think he should want to make that trade. I'm hesitant to move this bishop right away because I don't see why I would give up this pawn. If I allow him to take, though, like let's say I protect my pawn, I allow him to take, and I take, and his queen comes here. I don't think I can defend this. Or not properly. Or I could play bishop g5. Then h6 and bishop f3. So let's do this. My rook here, it's not ideal for the rook to be here, but I need to guard a couple things. And I couldn't play b3 without my rook being in trouble. So I'll end up playing b3 later, probably. And getting my rook out on the second file, or the second rank. So obviously natural moves like this are possible. I just want to make sure that that's what I want to do. I don't think his rook is like super high functioning on this e file because of my nice bishop. Although it makes it harder for me to retreat my knight. I don't know where this knight is going though, unfortunately. This feels natural. I'll just go ahead and do that. Obviously. I can defend that. He can still take. Yeah, I'm not afraid of him taking. Still, if he goes here, after takes, I'll defend it. He'll attack me somehow. I can kick his queen away. And this way, well, this is a move, but I come in with knight f5, so he's not trapping my bishop anytime soon. And probably next I'll go knight f3. So complicated game. Definitely don't feel in control like I did in every other game I've played on this account. So we need to figure out a couple things. I got to improve my pieces. I need to think about where I want my bishop would be great if it could come here. Oh, that'd be so good. So I imagine if my bishop came to f1, he'd play here. But then his rook is tied down to defending. Unless he plays for b5. Which might happen. So he's looking to double the rooks. Maybe it's time for me to bring my knight to d2 to add that extra defense. Or maybe I can now play bishop f1 and with this threat. So it'd be great if he just put his rook here and then I could pick up the exchange. Although even there, he would take back with the queen and then I'd have to defend this somehow. Probably with king f3. And then my king is very far forward. I also have to worry about Well, this I didn't think I had to worry about. I just play... Oh, I thought I could just play something like a3. It is queen a5. But, okay, a3, queen a5, bishop f4. Takes, takes, this is check. Bishop g3. I've given up another pawn, but he's got no dark square bishop. That's actually, I think, completely adequate compensation. Okay, wait, h3, queen here, bishop here, g5. Then at least I could go knight here. Actually, wait, hang on. Bishop here, queen takes, bishop f3. No, his queen is not trapped. How unfortunate. I really thought that I was onto something there. So a3, queen a5, bishop f4, g5. Bishop takes pawn. Take the knight, g4. This is actually really unclear. And I'd have both of these really strong pawns. I think I have to do something like that. So he doesn't even care, he just goes for it. I mean, it's funny because materialistically, you would think that I'd just be down here. But this is like, his rooks aren't actually that strong. So I block the check. I imagine he'll give me check. I'll come over. He could also come back to g5 with the idea that I can't take here as long as he has this fork, which is an interesting idea. However, I could probably just move my king. I'm not really sure. This is pretty wild. I just need to be very careful of not dropping a piece because that's a death sentence. So I have to be careful of like queen g5. I need to be careful of things like queen d2. Here I would still have rook e2. Maybe what? maybe I can go here. Here, still here. Takes, takes. Not great. I could also, well, I have to be careful of another thing. He has f5 coming. Also, my time is getting quite low. If he plays f5, I could be in trouble. Maybe the way to stop f5, if I want to meet f5 with e5, then he has here. I think I have to do this. I'm just really worried about my king position. So he can come back here, which I admit. But then maybe I just come bishop to g2. So he goes there after all. I sidestep. f5 isn't a concern. I think I just have bishop here. Because takes, I have bishop takes. Or maybe I'm just wrong. Or at least it's a fair trade. No. This is, I'd win the exchange if he did that. If he goes rook takes, bishop takes, rook takes, knight takes, and then queen fork. Okay, let's say I save my, oh, also my knight's defended by my bishop. I would just save the piece. So he missed that. This bishop will move. And then what? Maybe I go b3, defend the knight, maybe stop c4, get my, I need to escape with this rook, get this rook active. Which I might also be able to do by doing this. But I have to be careful about giving him open avenues, because my pieces are only stronger as long as his rooks are useless. Also noticeably, don't I have rook f1 coming now? Wait, hang on. His queen is totally trapped. This is unbelievable. Moves the rook f1 is, oh wait, it is unbelievable. He can go backwards. But then I can still take here. I hallucinated. I just noticed that his queen had no forward squares. Well, that's embarrassing. Yeah, his queen could come back. Probably to, there's no reason to go to h8. But then I could take this. So he has to go here, I think. And I don't want to play b3 so quickly because then it gives his queen this extra option. Tough. So I'm assuming, yeah, okay, so he plays it. Maybe I do open up this after all, because I'm not sure what he does otherwise. Like, and then if my rook's not getting that active though, because I can't let him take here. This knight's not doing. Oh, the knight keeps the queen out. Man, every piece is actually doing something. I could sacrifice the pawn. And then bring my knight in. That's not a half bad idea. I am running low on time. Is there any merit to going rook f1 first and then sacrificing the pawn? A little, I think. So queen g7. Oof. Maybe sacrificing the pawn's the wrong idea. Because I just realized he has f5. Okay, so now I'm definitely getting my hands in a knot. If he goes here, I don't think that's that big of a deal. At least now I can start to think about knight here and here. Which starts to get awkward for him now that my rook isn't defending like this. So there's some logic to this still. Oh, well, he just shuts that down. Does that? I didn't realize that that was his idea behind this move. This is not yet a threat. But it would be if my knight were in the way. Let's go here. Obviously planning this. And my rook now defends. So things are working out, I think. I'm getting a bit, let's say, jittery. The situation's getting pretty dire. Not really clear what's happening. But if I'm not mistaken, I think he made some mistakes here with his plan. He's opened up his king considerably, and my knight, like my pieces are just getting to be much, much better. My rook will have a function. My knight will have a function. My knight will defend this square from a much better square. This is looking like a huge improvement. Pawn just rook takes. My rook just does a great job laterally defending. Let's attack his queen. Now maybe my knight enters on f5. This is problems. My knight defends. I mean, you can play here, and I don't think I can take, but Like, is this your idea of a good time? Because I think I can now go here. Because he was threatening my rook. Still can't play here because the rook takes. This is still not threatened because I can't let him take, but my rook is coming. Defend this so there's no sacrifice. And the icing might be to play bishop f1, defend the rook so I can move my bishop. Although I don't know if I can move my bishop while he attacks my rook, so to be decided. Although I think I can. I'm now threatening the d6 pawn, and then a huge, like, everything is falling apart. And his time is still lower than mine, so there's the relative time advantage. Defends. I'm just trying my best not to make an error here. I want to get my bishop involved. Here, so I can go here. Or here. Defend everything. Against all odds, I think all of my pieces are protected. I mean, this is the power of having 3 pieces. So he feels like he has to give up some things here. But you have a lot of things on the line. Okay, so I think this is working out. Shoot, I need to be aware of what's going on. Okay, so let's attack this. I'm trying to checkmate him here. And if I trade both rooks for the queen, I don't know if I can win, because he might be able to force this pawn off. So I think checkmate's my only option. The game isn't won at all. But he has to be very careful. Because, I mean, if he plays a move like this, at least I have some sort of perpetual. I think. I don't think he has a check. So obviously we're threatening checkmate. He can push a pawn. Things are not looking ideal. Oh, I have this too. He has to be super careful. This doesn't work, so he has to play there. Still no checks. And if I can trade these two for the queen, it's game over. So his queen will move somewhere. That's kind of clever. So I have perpetual, I think. So let's do some calculation here. Or repeat once. Oh, it's not perpetual, is it? But I can take here. If I go here, he goes here, and that's not perpetual. So maybe we'll see a move like this, threatening here. But then I take. Very complicated. So I wanted to go here. And if I do that, he has check, and I come back. And he has pawn up, and I have rook here. So this is kind of like on the way to repeating. A draw wouldn't be the worst result. And I don't see what he does besides, I mean, unless he goes, no, he can't escape. He has to give check. Like, there's no other move. This doesn't work. I'll win the pawn. And my rook will everything will be defended. Maybe I go here? No, but then I'm not threatening this, so I have to keep. So he'll think of some way to avoid the draw, maybe. Okay, that's my only move. Looks like we just had a draw. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not disappointed. I'm a little disappointed. Let's see how much we missed. Let's actually take this to the study. Let's throw on the request a computer analysis. So sure, everything's normal. So yeah, C5, not as common, and I was right. So D5, is normal. Knight H4 is normal. Yeah, and G6 is what I was expecting. Queen C8 felt all wrong. Like he did something wrong here. D6, sure. I played E4 so that I could play Knight F5, but I guess now I regret that because unwittingly I opened up this diagonal. That's a mistake, or at least even if the computer wouldn't show it as an inaccuracy. Oh man, and I can see now that I missed some wins. That's disheartening. Okay, E4. Yeah, yeah, so by here I realized I'd done something wrong, and I think that the culprit is definitely this guy. So I'll add some arrows here. Even though it's not like it's the end of the world here, but we get this kind of first sequence where things are really sketchy. So the other games were pretty clean. This one was far from clean. Wow, I can't believe I can't believe my eyes. Like, I thought that a lot of this was pretty straightforward, but this is a hideous. It just keeps. Do I hear 8? Oh man, that's so disappointing. I mean, if we're looking at both of us, it's not like he's. I mean, he had to make as many blunders as I did for it to go an up and end and a draw, right? So when we get to, let's look at some of the key positions here. So that was too much. Like all this is going to be tactically based. I guess all these blunders happen because black can indeed take on a h4. Wait a second. Bishop e2. And the queen is trapped. You can't see my face, but I imagine I look pretty shameful. Unbelievable, I missed all of this. Oh, this would have been easy. Wow. Well, I'm a little lost for words. Knight e1 is also a blunder. Everything's a blunder. Yeah, I guess I took 4 moves to come to f5 when I could have done it in 2. And knight e3 isn't a... I was worried about knight e3 h4. Why is knight e3 h4 not a problem? Because obviously I have this. This is a pretty poor showing of tactical awareness. King h2 is a mistake. Everything is a mistake. This is crazy. And I thought around here I was pretty close to winning. I mean, I have some material edge. This is a mistake. What could be more natural than this? I guess I was playing intuitively when I really demanded that I play tactically, but I feel like I was calculating some things. I just, some things were just completely off the periphery of my vision. So, if you watch this far, I applaud you. I'm definitely going to, well, I think even if I didn't try, I think it'd be hard for me not to do better in the subsequent games. Good Lord. Not what you like to see. But this is going to be a learning experience. Everything can be tied down to me playing that early e4 and all this craziness associated with trying to oust the bishop and get some king safety. So kudos to him for putting the pressure on, especially after a move like queen c8. He should have been on his back foot, but yeah, queen b3 is also a mistake. I could have just gone for something right away with f4, like it's saying. F4, e5, maybe. Looks pretty tempting because I have this now. I could sit here analyzing every mistake in this game for an hour, so I'll leave it here. If this game interests you, well, it's here in this public study, and I'm going to go try to sleep this one off. I'll see you in the next game.